Thank you folks for joining us this afternoon, and good afternoon on a beautiful, blustery Earth Day. Not only are we blessed with an abundance of fresh water with the Great Lakes and all of our wonderful streams and rivers, I think we've had an opportunity to get a little bit of water even falling us from the sky today in the form of both rain and snow, so it's been dual blessings. But fortunately, it is dry now, and that gives me an opportunity to stand here with many of my colleagues and advocates on behalf of a cleaner environment to introduce our package of legislation that will improve pipeline safety here in the state of Michigan. As you can see from this diagram over here, the pipeline that has raised the most concern is Line 5, which is a line that is owned by Enbridge under the Straits of Mackinac, and it is really sorrowfully poorly regulated here in the state of Michigan. It is not covered by the state's Bottomland Act, which gives us an opportunity for inspections and anchoring, which Representative Roberts is going to talk about here in a moment, because that is the subject of her bill. So without further ado, I'm going to be introducing all these individuals here to talk more about pipeline safety here in the Michigan, starting with Representative Roberts. Oh, I'm sorry, I have it wrong. I'm starting with Representative Driskell, who's going to talk about her piece of the package.
Thank you, Representative Irwin, and thank you all for being here this very important day, the 45th anniversary of Earth Day. Very important. Representative Irwin was speaking about the need for the people of Michigan to have a voice in the decision-making that affects all of us. In my district, my constituents have recently experienced firsthand the frustration that comes from being denied the right to have a say in where and how industrial operations are carried out, especially when those operations can have such serious adverse effects on our quality of life. Now, another proposed natural gas pipeline is planned in western Washtenaw County, and the pipeline safety legislative package that we are presenting contains tools our state needs to protect people and to deal with problems before they become disasters. The bill I am sponsoring would help mitigate the economic damage a pipeline leak could inflict on our state by requiring pipeline companies to give priority to Michigan companies and products in cleanup operations. The Kalamazoo River spill in 2010 has necessitated the costliest onshore oil cleanup in U.S. history at more than $1 billion in cleanup costs. That figure doesn't even include the damages caused to ecosystems, property, and human health. Cleanup is still ongoing. The least a company can do when its pipeline harms a state this badly is to keep the money paid to fix the problem in our state. Of course, we all hope that there will be no further accidents like the one in the 2010 spill. But experience shows we should plan for accidents. My bill would ensure that the cleanup is handled by companies that can get there quickly, that understand Michigan's environmental conditions, and that have a stake in Michigan's future. And now I'd like to introduce Representative Sarah Roberts.
Thank you, Representative Driskell. Good afternoon. I'm State Representative Sarah Roberts, and the entire eastern shoreline of my district is on, Lake St. Clair. And I'm really proud to be a part of this package of legislation that will help protect our Great Lakes, which really is what makes Michigan so special. I mean, we are the Great Lakes state. Our state is completely surrounded by the Great Lakes. And the bill I'm sponsoring would remove the exemption of that oil pipelines have from complying with Part 5 of the Water Resources Protection Rules of the Michigan Administrative Code. In my opinion, there should be no exemption. There should be no exemption from rules and regulation to not only protect our Great Lakes water, but protect our drinking water and our economy as well, that is so directly tied to our water. The bill also requires that pipelines on the bottomlands of the Great Lakes be operated in a manner that does not pose a threat to public health, safety, welfare, or the environment of the public trust in the waters of the Great Lakes. To ensure compliance, the DEQ would regularly inspect pipelines located on the bottomlands and would be able to impose conditions on pipeline operations, such as requiring sufficient anchors. State supervision of pipelines grows more necessary every day as our pipelines are aging here in Michigan. Line 5, as Representative Irwin mentioned, is the 60-year-old submerged pipeline under the Straits of Mackinac, and this has brought up numerous environmental and economic concerns. Because of the strong currents in the straits, a spill in the area has the potential to spread quickly and would be difficult to clean up and have some very devastating effects. The U.S. Coast Guard has stated they are not adequately equipped or prepared to prevent or to respond to a major spill in the Great Lakes. So it is extremely important to prevent spills by making sure pipelines are properly maintained and not exempted from any safeguards or regulations. And the bills in our package are aimed at just that, protecting our state and the Great Lakes by requiring safeguards against destructive leaks. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Robert Gordon of the Sierra Club.
Thank you, Representative Roberts, and thank you all for coming out here today. I'm Robert Gordon. The Sierra Club is the country's oldest and largest environmental group, with about 2 million members, 60,000 of whom live in Michigan. I want to talk for a moment about Earth Day, the 45th anniversary of it. And it's a day that we just can't talk about without taking action. And that's what the Pipeline Safety Task Force, the Pipeline Safety Legislative Package is. It's active steps that our state can take toward a better future for the environment that we live upon. I hope that as the Great Lakes Petroleum Pipeline Task Force makes its report, many legislators on both sides of the aisle will see the need for enhanced oversight provided by these bills, and they will be passed into law for the benefit of everybody in Michigan. And with that, I'd like to introduce Nick Clark from Clean Water Action.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, members of the House, for taking on this important issue and drawing attention to it on Earth Day, the 45th annual celebration of Earth Day. Millions of people in 192 nations across this planet are doing just what we're doing now, standing up for protecting our natural resources and environment. And I can think of no better natural resource or more deserving to protect than a quarter of the world's fresh surface water supply. I probably, unlike you, have many memories of traveling across the Mackinac Bridge and having no idea that this Line 5 was underneath of our vehicles we're traveling forth. My memories are mostly around looking out at Mackinac Island and seeing the ferries going back and forth and all the fishing boats. But I'll ask you just for a minute to think, what if instead of those ferries going back and forth, those were boats charged with the task of cleaning up oil? In this area here, surrounding Mackinac Island, was a giant oil sheen. What would that do to the economy of Michigan? And more importantly, what would that do to our way of life here in this state? And that's why Clean Water Action, on behalf of our 300,000 members in Michigan who are registered voters, are asking the state legislature to make these bills a priority and pass them now. So thank you, happy Earth Day to everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Nick Clark, Robert Gordon, Representative Driskell, Representative Roberts. Many months ago, the governor formed his Pipeline Safety Task Force, and we're still waiting to hear what the governor's proposal is to stop this potential disaster in the Straits of Mackinac. We've introduced legislation last fall. We're now reintroducing it. These bills provide better public notice. They help prevent a horrible spill in the Great Lakes. They help protect our communities with greater public notice, as mentioned by Representative Driskell, with the pipeline activity, the expansions that are happening all over the state. And these are good, common sense reforms that will protect our environment. We hope that the governor's listening. He just walked by. We're hopeful that he will hear what we're saying here on Earth Day and make sure that his Pipeline Safety Task Force works together with the goals of these bills to provide greater pipeline safety here in the Great Lakes state.